I've been collecting some paper clippings for the past few months now, and there's always something interesting or funny to be found in days past. So let's just jump right in on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. First segment here is based on a story that I heard about Christmas, how it was illegal in the United States and early America. Being the person that I am, I needed to check this story out for myself. Now, I don't celebrate Christmas myself, so this doesn't affect me either way. So let's look at a few of these old papers regarding Christmas to see what we uncover. Let's begin in Maryland in 1762, before the Declaration of Independence. It says, "The new organ, which is putting up in St. Paul's Church, will be in such forwardness as to be used in divine service on Christmas Day." And it continues on. Here's Virginia in 1768. There's a lot of books, seemingly for small children. This one's called Christmas Box, Exposition of the Book of Common Prayer. 1790, Vermont, an Ode for Christmas Day, and it's called On the Creation and the Birth of Christ. It looks like a song or a poem. 1789, A Christmas Hymn. Skip to 1827, Christmas in America. It talks about all different festivities such as church worship, shops are open, streets are busy, a young married woman always gives a quilting party at Christmas where her female friends help her make a large quilt. In Philadelphia and New York, there's dancing parties till a late hour. Horses are decorated with bells and all parties in merriment. It continues to say that there's constant serenades in the street and are occasionally called in to partake in a hot spiced bowl, and a relish of a savory snack is always there. I wonder what a hot spiced bowl and relish might be. Well, after searching a few hours, I didn't find anything that confirmed that Christmas was ever illegal in America. So that's that. So moving on, let's get into some of the regular stories. January 2nd, 1800. There's a 1-cent reward. It says, ran away from the subscriber an apprentice named James Welsh, about 5 foot, 6 to 8 inches high, has short curly red hair. Whoever will apprehend the said apprentice and bring him back shall receive the above reward. No charges paid. William Manning. In 1870 in New York, some rather disturbing news. This first one says Patrick Walsh was arraigned at the Yorkville Police Court for mayhem for biting the ear off of John McFerrin and was committed to answer at the General Sessions. Move over, Mike Tyson. The second part says Officer Van Tassel last night found the arms and breast of a man in a box placed opposite 15 East 73rd Street. The officer could find no trace as to where the remains belonged. They were removed to the morgue. I guess people have always been crazy. 1874, this one's tragic. Lawrence Whalen, 5 years old, died yesterday at Bellevue Hospital from burns. A little over a month ago, his mom went out to work, leaving the 3 little children at home. I wonder if it means that she went outside or if they mean that she actually went someplace to work. Anyways, it says, later in the day, the little ones endeavored to kindle a fire, and in doing so, Lawrence took a can of kerosene oil and poured it on top of the fire when it instantly exploded and burned him most frightfully, death being the result. So let's lighten up the mood a little bit with some jokes from 1880. No part of a man will stand so many blows as his nose. How about this one? A woodcutter never fells a tree against its will. He always axes it first. Or this one. The patient boy went to a neighbor's house for some sour milk. I haven't any but sweet, said the woman. Then I'll wait till it sours, he said, pulling out his marbles. Here's one. Ma, are you going to give me another piece of pie? Why do you want to know? Because if you ain't, I want to eat this piece slowly, he says. 1885. Now this one gave me nightmares. Gottlieb Varts, age 38, a workman in the Empire Brewery in the West 10th Street, fell into a vat of boiling malt as he was scalded to death. I thought about this one for days. I've come to the conclusion that this guy probably only felt something for a few seconds. I hope. November 1885. The Hudson River is alive with ducks. It says old residents say they can't remember the Hudson River being so alive with so many wild ducks at this present time. It says the hunters are as numerous as the game. This one cracked me up. Officer Mullins arrested John Nash a few mornings ago for being drunk. Nash says he was sober and he asked for a trial. He got one this morning. I'm actually impressed on how quickly the justice system worked back in those days. They didn't have months of paperwork. He just asked for a trial and got one a few days later. Anyways, he was proven guilty. He was fined $11.50, which his mother paid, and then she raised her voice to a high pitch and abused everyone in court till Justice Massey told her he would send her to jail, and then she stopped. 1889. This one says, probably poisoned. Ernest Jump was employed at Isaac Counter's farm. Ernest was given a drink of cider by his employer. Ernest complained that the cider was bitter tasting and only drank about 2/3 of it. The employer says he took a sip and immediately spit it out and dumped out the rest. Ernest felt ill and went to the doctor's office about a half a mile distant. He became very ill by the time he got there, and in 20 minutes' time he was dead. The doctor was able to question Ernest, who told him he drank some cider, and the doctor was able to get the glass with the cider, and it tested to have strychnine in it. So it turns out the employer and his wife have been having issues. They actually separated on a few occasions, and the employer suspected that his wife and Ernest had an affair. So the judge was getting a jury together, and an inquest was being held next Wednesday. Ernest was only 30 years old. 1896. A lot of men's negligee shirts with 2 collars in new and pretty patterns go on sale today for 75 cents. I guess negligee has changed meaning since then, huh? Here's a 1908 school for stammerers in Detroit. 1909 ad. Fat folks. Your weight, double chin, bust, abdomen, hips, and fatty heart reduced. If interested in this treatment, a lady assistant will call on you. Strictly confidential, free booklet. 1909, Colorado. They're selling land. It says, buy land that your children can sell for $5 a square rod. The richest farming land in the world. A square mile now costs you $5,000, and that will sell in 50 years for $500,000, or perhaps $1 million by that time. Here's a 1928 Tasty Cake Crimpets ad. I didn't know that Tasty Cake had been around this long. It turns out that Tasty Cake has been around since 1914. 1931, confessed murderer wounds 2 and kills himself. Shouting he was a murderer and would not die in the electric chair, Fred Hoff, who was just 17, killed himself after wounding 2 people who tried to halt him. In his hand was a newspaper clipping telling of a murder in Camden, New Jersey. I'm the bozo they're looking for, he shouted. I did it, but I won't die in the electric chair. It sounds like there's more to this story than this. 1933, a train robber, Frank Nash, 49, also an escaped convict, was murdered when gunmen poured a volley of machine gun fire into an automobile in which he was seated with several officers. 4 out of the 6 officers were killed with him. This sounds like Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde was killed like this exact same way about 1 year later. Here's another 1933. This one's talking about escaped convict that had escaped 6 years ago. He was 19, was finally found in Chicago 2 weeks ago. Now he's 25. After he escaped, he got a job as a dishwasher, and now he's an advertising manager for a paint manufacturer. He was taken into the reformatory, brought before Governor White, and was given a pardon. I'm making an exception in light of your good record. I thought that was nice. Move over Steve Irwin. This 1956 paper tells of an 18-year-old who has a collection of reptiles. His tourist attraction site is called Max Allen's Reptile Gardens. He's got a collection of snakes, alligators, and other reptiles. He usually steps into a pit of deadly copperheads and lifts one with a pole so that the visitor can get a better look at it. He's got a 150-pound python, which he feeds it live chickens 8 to 10 times a year, he says. He says his most terrifying experience was when he jumped into the python's cage, and he said the python kicked him down and wrapped himself around his legs so he couldn't move. He says it took 2 men to coil him away from me. Anyways, he plans to go to college to continue studying to be a herpetologist. So let's finish this up with some comics. Here's a Snoopy comic from 1966. It says, "Bonk. What happened? Charlie Brown got hit with a line drive. Does anyone here know anything about first aid? It's probably not that serious. Second or third aid will do." Here's a 1974 comic. "Oh miss, would you please give me some cake?" "Sorry, I have no cake. Would bread and butter do?" "It would ordinarily, but you see, today is my birthday." Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.